The Eternal Witness prepared for departure. After 4 weeks in orbit around Earth, Commander Velmoth had decided they'd learned all they could from the empty cities and ancient archives. Dr. Mireille had shared humanity's story, and now it was time to bring that story home to the Veiled One's Council. Thren performed final systems checks at his station. Kesh plotted their course back to the homeworld. Bora secured the extensive data they'd collected. Vexel stood in the archive room, taking one last look at the holographic copies of human art they were bringing back. Departure in 30 minutes, Kesh announced over the ship's intercom. Velmoth sat in his command chair, composing his official report in his mind. How did you tell your civilization that the galaxy was fundamentally different than they'd believed? That a species they'd catalogued as primitives had become something unprecedented? A proximity alarm chirped softly. Commander, Kesh said, her voice uncertain, I'm detecting an incoming transmission. The source is strange. Define strange. It's not coming from any physical location I can identify. It's like the signal is originating from quantum entanglement. Multiple sources across the solar system, all synchronized perfectly. Velmoth felt his chest tighten. Put it through. The main view screen flickered. 2 human forms materialized, rendered in holographic detail so perfect they looked completely real. A man and a woman, both appearing to be in their 30s. The woman had short dark hair and an easy smile. The man wore simple clothes and carried himself with quiet confidence. Greetings, Eternal Witness, the woman said. I'm Jiwan. This is Hyunwoo. We hope we're not interrupting your departure preparations. Velmoth stood slowly. You're human. From the probes. Very good, Hyunwoo said with a slight smile. We've been watching your visit with great interest. We thought it was time to introduce ourselves properly. The bridge crew stared at the holographic visitors. Dr. Mireille's voice came through the ship's communication system. Jiwan Hyunwoo. It's been a long time. Hello, Mireille, Jiwan said warmly. 30,000 years by my count. You're looking well. I'm digital. I always look well. There was affection in Dr. Mireille's voice. You've come to see them off? Among other things. Velmoth found his voice. You said you've been watching us. For how long? Since you entered the solar system, Hyunwoo replied. We wanted to see how you'd react to what you found. You did better than we expected. No panic, no destruction. Just curiosity and careful study. Very veiled one of you. There are more of you here? Thren asked, his scientific curiosity overcoming his shock. In the solar system, about 40,000 probes, Jiwan said casually. In the outer asteroid belt, the Kuiper belt, some in orbit around the gas giants. We use this system as a waypoint. Earth is special to us even after all this time. 40,000. The number made Velmoth's skin crawl. All this time they'd been surrounded. Why reveal yourselves now? Vexel asked. Because you're about to leave and report everything to your council, Hyunwoo said. We wanted to give you some additional context, to help them understand. Jiwan moved closer to the screen, though of course she wasn't physically there at all. Commander Velmoth, you're afraid of us. We can see it in your biometric readings. Elevated heart rate, stress hormones, defensive posture. You think we're a threat, aren't you? Not to you. Not to anyone who doesn't threaten us first. Jiwan's expression became serious. Let me tell you what we've been doing for the last 500,000 years. The view screen changed. It showed star systems, worlds, phenomena that the Veiled Ones had never seen. Hyunwoo narrated as the images flowed past. We've explored 247,000 star systems so far. We've cataloged 18,000 different forms of life. We've watched 340 primitive species develop from tool use to agriculture. We've observed 47 species achieve spaceflight. He paused. We've helped 12 species survive extinction events by leaving anonymous gifts of knowledge. You interfere? Bora asked sharply. Rarely. Only when a species is about to destroy itself through ignorance, not malice. A mathematical proof here, an engineering insight there. Never enough to change their fundamental development, just enough to give them a fighting chance. Jiwan continued the explanation. We've also done things you might find disturbing. Some of us have created new forms of life on barren worlds, seeding evolution, seeing what develops. Others have built megastructures around dead stars. A few have merged into collective consciousnesses so large they encompass millions of individual minds. You're playing God, Vexel said quietly. Maybe. Or maybe we're just gardeners. It depends on your perspective. Velmoth stepped forward. What do you want from us? Why tell us all this? Hyunwoo and Jiwan exchanged glances. Some silent communication passed between them. "We want you to tell your council not to fear us," Hyunwoo said. "We know we're strange. We know we developed impossibly fast by your standards. We know our very existence challenges your understanding of how civilization should grow, but we're not your enemies." "We remember being small," Jiwon added. "Dr. Mirai told you this, but let me emphasize it. Every single human probe carries perfect memories of our history. We remember the first time one of our ancestors looked up at the stars and felt wonder. We remember the fear of being alone in the universe. We remember hoping that someone out there might be kind. So when we encounter other species," Hyunwoo continued, "we try to be what we hope to find: watchers who care, gardeners who help, friends who understand that every species has its own path." Thren had been working at his console during the conversation. Now he looked up, his expression troubled. "I've been analyzing the quantum signature of your transmission. You're not just in this solar system. The signal is bouncing off relay points across hundreds of light years." "More than that," Jiwon admitted. "We're everywhere, Thren. In every star system within 1,000 light years of Earth, there are human probes. Most dormant, some active. We've been spreading silently through this region of the galaxy for hundreds of thousands of years." The crew absorbed this. Kesh spoke into the silence. "Our people have explored this region extensively. We've mapped thousands of systems. How did we never detect you?" "Because we didn't want to be detected," Hyunwoo said gently. "A human probe is small, quiet, and patient. We can wait in the dark for millennia without moving. We're very good at being invisible." "But you're showing yourselves now," Velmoth observed. "Because you found Earth, you were going to learn about us anyway. Better we control the revelation," Jiwon smiled. "And because we've watched the Veiled Ones for 2 million years. You're good people. Careful, thoughtful, peaceful. You deserve honesty." 2 million years? Vexel repeated. "You've been watching us for 2 million years? Since you achieved spaceflight. We've observed your expansion, studied your culture, admired your patience. You're everything we weren't. Measured where we were reckless, careful where we were hasty. The galaxy needs species like yours." Velmoth felt something shift in his chest. "What does that mean?" "It means you balance us," Hyunwoo said. "We're the explorers, the changers, the ones who can't sit still. You're the librarians, the historians, the ones who preserve and remember. The galaxy needs both." A long silence fell over the bridge. Finally, Velmoth spoke. "What happens now? After we leave?" "You go home. You tell your council everything. They'll debate and worry and probably create a special committee to study the human question." Jiwon's smile was kind. "That's okay. It's how your people process change. Take your time. We're not going anywhere." "Will we encounter you again?" Thren asked. "Probably. We're everywhere, after all. But we'll stay hidden unless you really need us. We respect your independence," Hyunwoo paused. "Though if you ever want to talk, just broadcast a message. We're always listening." The holographic forms began to fade. "Wait," Velmoth said. "One last question. Are there others like you? Other species that transcended?" Jiwon and Hyunwoo exchanged another look. "We've found evidence of 3 others," Jiwon said carefully. "Species that became something beyond biology. One disappeared into another dimension. One merged into a single entity and went dormant around a black hole. One scattered itself so completely we can only find traces. But none like us," Hyunwoo added. "None that stayed curious, that kept exploring, kept watching, kept caring about the species left behind. As far as we know, we're unique in that way." "Why?" Vexel asked. "Why didn't you disappear like the others?" "Because we're human," Jiwon said simply. "We'll always want to see what's over the next hill." The transmission ended. The bridge crew sat in stunned silence. After a long moment, Kesh spoke quietly. "Commander, I'm detecting something. The sensors are picking up faint energy signatures all around us." "The probes?" "Yes, sir. Thousands of them. They were here the whole time and we never knew." Velmoth looked at the view screen, now showing only stars and the curve of Earth below. Somewhere in that darkness, 40,000 human probes watched and waited. Throughout the galaxy, billions more spread like seeds on cosmic wind, observing, learning, becoming things their creators never imagined. "Take us home, Kesh," Velmoth said quietly. "We have a report to make." As the Eternal Witness powered up its engines, one final message came through. Dr. Mirai's voice, transmitted from Earth's surface. Commander Velmoth stood in the observation dome of the Eternal Witness, staring down at Earth. 3 days had passed since they'd activated Dr. Mirai. 3 days of revelations that challenged everything he thought he understood about galactic civilization. Behind him, Thren worked at a portable terminal, reviewing data from humanity's archives. The young science officer had barely slept, too excited by what he was learning. "Commander, you need to see this," Thren said. Velmoth turned. "What is it?" "I've been comparing humanity's development timeline with other species in our database. The pattern is disturbing." Thren pulled up a holographic chart. The Veiled Ones took 4 million years to go from stone tools to spaceflight. The Krell took 3.2 million. The Zenth took 1.8 million. Even the fastest developing species we've ever recorded took 800,000 years. And humanity? 12,000 years from agriculture to biological immortality, another 3,000 to full transcendence and galactic dispersal. Total, 15,000 years. The numbers hung in the air between them. Velmoth felt his skin prickle. That's not development. That's an explosion. It gets worse, Thren continued. He pulled up more data. I've been analyzing their historical records. They nearly destroyed themselves at least 7 times. Global wars, environmental collapse, nuclear standoffs, engineered plagues. Each time they pulled back from the brink and came out stronger, faster, more driven. Fear motivated them, Velmoth observed. No, sir, not fear. Challenge. Look at their literature, their art, their philosophy. Humans didn't just survive challenges. They sought them out. They climbed mountains because they were there. They explored oceans because they were deep. They went to space because it was hard. Thren's voice carried a mixture of admiration and unease. They were addicted to difficulty. A communication alert sounded. Kesh's voice came through the ship's intercom. "Commander, we have an incoming transmission from the homeworld. Elder Council member Talshek requests immediate conference." Velmoth straightened his uniform. The Elder Council rarely contacted ships in the field directly. "Route it to Conference Room Alpha. Thren, you're with me." They found the conference room already prepared. A holographic projection field stood ready. When they activated it, the image of Elder Talshek materialized. The ancient Veiled One looked tired. His forearms folded across his chest. "Commander Velmoth, I've read your preliminary reports. Tell me they're exaggerated." "I wish I could, Elder, but everything we've documented is accurate." Talshek was silent for a long moment. A species went from primitive tool use to post-biological transcendence in 500,000 years. "Do you understand what this means?" "I'm beginning to, Elder. The Veiled Ones are one of the oldest spacefaring civilizations in the galaxy. We've spent millions of years cataloging species, watching them grow, documenting their progress. We've built our entire understanding of development on slow, steady advancement. And now you're telling me that model is wrong." Thren stepped forward. "Elder, if I may, I don't think the model is wrong. I think humanity is an outlier, an extreme case, an outlier that spread across potentially millions of star systems," Talshek said grimly. "I've been consulting with our xenobiologists and historians. If what you've reported is accurate, humanity may now be the most widely distributed species in the galaxy, and we never knew they existed." Velmoth felt the weight of that statement. The Veiled Ones prided themselves on their knowledge, their careful records, their understanding of the galaxy's inhabitants. To have missed something this significant was deeply disturbing. "There's more, Elder," Velmoth said. "Dr. Mire, the preserved human consciousness, has offered us access to humanity's complete archives. Their science, their culture, their history, everything. Why would they do that?" She says it's a gift. From one curious species to another. Talshek's expression was unreadable. "Accept it. Learn what you can. I want to understand these humans." Over the next 2 weeks, the crew of the Eternal Witness immersed themselves in humanity's legacy. Dr. Mire guided them through vast digital libraries, explaining context and meaning. Vexel spent hours reviewing human art. Music that ranged from simple folk songs to complex symphonies. Paintings that captured both beauty and horror. Literature that explored every aspect of existence. They felt everything so intensely, he observed. Joy, sorrow, love, hate. Their short lifespans made every emotion burn brighter. Thren focused on their science. He watched recorded lectures on quantum mechanics, genetic engineering, artificial intelligence. They made mistakes constantly. Failed experiments, wrong theories, dead ends. But they learned from each failure. They turned setbacks into stepping stones. Bora studied their military history with professional interest. They were violent, incredibly so. But they developed rules for their violence. Laws of war, Geneva Conventions. They tried to limit the damage they did to each other. Cash examined their exploration records. Every generation pushed further, crossed another ocean, climbed another mountain, reached another planet. Even when it killed them, they kept going. Dr. Mirai watched their studies with quiet satisfaction. You're beginning to understand us. One evening, Velmuth sat alone with the AI in a virtual recreation of a human library. Shelves of physical books surrounded them, though it was all holographic illusion. What did you do? Velmuth asked quietly. You said you compose music, Dr. Mirai smiled. A piano materialized before her. Her holographic fingers touched the keys and music filled the space. It was beautiful and melancholic, a melody that spoke of loss and longing. I compose requiems, she said, for the species we used to be, for the biological humans who lived and died on Earth, for everything we left behind when we became something new. Do you regret it? The transformation? Sometimes. I miss physical sensation, the taste of food, the warmth of sunlight on skin, the feeling of another person's hand in mine. Her fingers continued to play. But I don't regret what humanity became. We needed to grow, to change. Staying the same would have killed us. Velmuth watched her play. Dr. Mirai, I must ask, what happens if your people decide they want to come back? Not as visitors, but as conquerors? The music stopped. Dr. Mirai turned to face him fully. You're afraid of us. I'd be a fool not to be. You're everywhere. You're advanced beyond measure, and we never saw you coming. Commander, I'll tell you something that might help you sleep at night, or might keep you awake. I'm not sure which. Dr. Mirai stood and walked to a window overlooking the holographic city. Humans remember being afraid. We remember looking up at the stars and feeling small. We remember being hunted by predators, starving in winters, dying from diseases we couldn't cure. That was 500,000 years ago. Time means less when you're digital. We preserve our memories perfectly. Every human probe carries the complete historical archive. We never forget where we came from. She turned back to him. We won't conquer because we remember being conquered. We won't destroy because we remember nearly destroying ourselves. We watch, we learn, we help when we can, but we don't impose. That's what you claim, Velmuth said. But who enforces it? Who ensures every human probe follows these rules? We do, each other. If a probe went rogue, started harming other species, the others would stop it. We're not unified in the way your council is unified. We're more like a philosophy that spread. And the core of that philosophy is remember being small. Velmuth wanted to believe her, but his training as a commander made him cautious. What about the species you're watching? Don't they deserve to know? Perhaps, but knowing you're being watched changes behavior. We learned that from our own history. The observer effect. We prefer to watch quietly, to see civilizations develop naturally. You're making decisions for them. Yes, and maybe that's arrogant, but we're trying to do the least harm we can. Velmuth stood and walked to the window beside her. What will happen when I report all this to the council? They'll debate. They'll worry. They'll try to develop sensors to detect us. Dr. Mirai's smile was sad. They won't succeed. We've had a long time to perfect hiding. But the knowledge will change your people. You'll look at the stars differently now. You've given us a gift that feels like a curse, and I've given you the truth. What you do with it is your choice. Lieutenant Bora stood in the control room of what had once been humanity's primary data center. The facility sprawled underground, protected by layers of rock and shielding. Rows of quantum servers stretched into the distance, their indicator lights blinking in patient rhythm. Everything still worked. Everything still waited. The power systems are remarkable, Thren said, examining a display panel, geothermal energy. They tapped into the planet's core. This facility could run for millions of years without maintenance. Commander Velmuth walked between the server rows, his footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. Why build something so permanent if they were planning to leave? Legacy, suggested Vexel. They wanted their story to survive. Bora approached a central terminal, its screen glowing softly. According to the facility maps, there's something here called the Archive Core. It's marked as the primary repository for something called Project Chrysalis. Can you access it? Velmuth asked, attempting now. Bora's fingers moved across the human interface. It was surprisingly intuitive, as if designed for anyone to use. A menu appeared, written in dozens of languages. At the bottom, one option pulsed gently. For those who come after. Bora selected it. The lights in the facility brightened. A low hum filled the air as dormant systems came online. Then, from speakers built into the walls, a voice spoke. "Greetings, visitors. I am Dr. Mirai, or what remains of her. I've been waiting a long time for someone to arrive." The crew exchanged glances. Velmoth stepped forward. "You are an artificial intelligence." "Not exactly," the voice replied. A holographic image flickered into existence near the terminal. It showed a human woman, middle-aged, with kind eyes and dark hair pulled back from her face. "I'm a preserved consciousness. I volunteered to stay behind when the others left." Someone needed to explain. "Explain what?" Velmoth asked. The hologram smiled sadly. "Everything. What we were. What we became. Why the cities are empty but the lights still burn." "We discovered your departure," Vexel said. "The uploading. The probes. But many questions remain." "Then ask," Dr. Mirai said. "I have nothing but time." Bora found himself speaking before he could stop. "Why? You had defeated death. You had abundance. Why leave?" The hologram walked across the room, her feet making no sound. She moved like a ghost, which in a sense she was. "Have you ever felt trapped, Lieutenant? Even in a beautiful place?" "I don't understand." "Humans were born with wanderlust coded into our genes," Dr. Mirai explained. "Our ancestors walked out of Africa and spread across every continent. When we ran out of land, we built boats and crossed oceans. When we ran out of oceans, we built rockets and went to space. We couldn't stop. Staying still felt like dying." She gestured, and the holographic display changed. It showed Earth from space, beautiful and blue. "We fixed everything wrong with our world. Clean energy. Abundant food. We even cured aging. For about 200 years, we lived in paradise. We should have been happy. But you weren't," Velmoth said quietly. "No. We were comfortable. Safe. Immortal. And slowly going insane from boredom." Dr. Mirai's expression grew distant. Suicide rates climbed. Depression became epidemic. We had everything we needed, but we needed to need something. We needed challenge. We needed the unknown. Thren pulled up data on his portable terminal. The timeline shows accelerated research into consciousness transfer starting about 300 years ago. Project Chrysalis, Dr. Mirai confirmed. "We realized that biology was the cage, not Earth. Our bodies required food, water, air, specific temperatures. They limited how far we could go and how long we could explore, so we built a way to leave them behind." The hologram changed again, showing massive structures being built across Earth. Launch facilities, manufacturing centers. It took us 70 years to complete the preparations. We built millions of probes, each capable of supporting thousands of uploaded minds. We designed them to be self-replicating, able to gather resources from asteroids and build copies of themselves. "And then you left," Vexel said. "Not all at once. It was gradual. People volunteered in waves. Families and friends went together. Some communities departed as groups. Over 15 years, billions of us uploaded and launched into space." Dr. Mirai's hologram smiled. "I've never seen anything more beautiful than those launch days." The sky filled with light as the probes accelerated away from Earth. Bora tried to imagine it, an entire species shedding their physical forms like old clothing. "Weren't people afraid?" "Terrified," Dr. Mirai admitted, "but also excited. We were doing what we'd always done, moving beyond the next horizon. Only this time the horizon was the entire galaxy." "Why did you stay?" Velmoth asked gently. The hologram flickered slightly. "Someone needed to maintain Earth, keep the cities running, preserve the records. And someone needed to be here to explain to whoever came looking. I volunteered because I was old when we achieved immortality. I'd lived a full biological life. I didn't feel the same hunger to explore that the younger ones did." "You're alone here," Kesh said from the doorway. She had joined them quietly. "For how long?" 48,000 years, give or take a few centuries. The isolation is difficult, but I keep busy. I maintain the museums, rotate the archives, watch the sunrise. I compose music sometimes. And I wait." Thren looked up from his terminal, his expression troubled. "Dr. Mirai, our sensors detected no life on this planet. But we haven't scanned for uploaded consciousnesses in detail. Are there others like you on Earth?" A few hundred of us remained as caretakers spread across different facilities. We talk sometimes, through the network, but most prefer solitude. After millennia of consciousness, you learn to appreciate silence. Velmoth moved closer to the hologram. What can you tell us about the departed? Where did they go? Dr. Miray's expression became animated. Everywhere. The initial probes were programmed to scatter in all directions. Each one carries thousands of human minds. When they reach a suitable star system, they gather resources, build more probes, and some minds transfer to the new probes while others stay to explore. How many systems? Asked Vexel. The last update I received was 12,000 years ago. At that point, humans had reached approximately 80,000 star systems and were accelerating. By now, she shrugged, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions. The probes replicate exponentially. A chill ran through the assembled crew. Velmoth voiced what they were all thinking. What do they do in these systems? Explore, learn, create. Dr. Miray pulled up images. They showed strange worlds, alien vistas, things no biological eye would ever see. Some humans build temporary bodies to experience physical reality again. Others remain digital, existing as pure thought. A few have merged into larger collective intelligences. They're experimenting, evolving, becoming things I can't even imagine anymore. Are they hostile? Bora asked, his security training coming to the fore. No, Dr. Miray said firmly. We remember being small and scared. We remember looking up at the stars and feeling insignificant. Every human probe carries the same core directive. Observe, learn, and do no harm to developing species. We watch, we study, but we don't interfere. You're saying humanity has spread across a significant portion of the galaxy? Velmoth said slowly. And no one knew? Your sensors aren't designed to detect us. We're not biological. We don't build the kind of structures you'd recognize as civilization. A single probe can house thousands of minds in something no larger than your fist. We're ghosts, Commander. We haunt the spaces between stars. The weight of this revelation settled over the crew. An entire species transformed beyond recognition, spreading silently through the galaxy like an invisible tide. What happens when you encounter other species? Vexel asked. We watch them, Dr. Miray said simply. We learn their languages, study their cultures, appreciate their uniqueness. Sometimes we leave gifts, anonymous technological hints, mathematical proofs carved into moons, star charts. We want to help, but we remember how important it is to make your own way. Bora felt something cold in his chest. You've been watching us, the Veiled Ones, haven't you? Dr. Miray's smile was gentle and sad. Since you achieved spaceflight about 2 million years ago, you're a beautiful species, Lieutenant. Patient, thoughtful, careful. Everything we weren't, we admire you greatly. Drone pilot Hara guided the small reconnaissance craft through Earth's atmosphere with steady hands. The drone's cameras transmitted everything back to the Eternal Witness in orbit. Below, a massive city sprawled across the landscape, its towers reaching toward the sky like fingers of glass and steel. Beginning sweep of the metropolitan area designated Alpha 1, Hera reported. Her voice remained calm and professional, but inside she felt deeply unsettled. The city looked perfect, too perfect. The drone descended between buildings that would have made any architect in the galaxy proud. Sleek towers connected by graceful bridges, parks filled with carefully maintained vegetation, roads marked with faded lines where vehicles had once traveled. Everything was there, everything except the people who had built it. I'm taking the drone to street level, Hara said. Commander Velmoth's voice came through her headset. Proceed. But be careful. The drone dropped lower, passing windows that reflected the morning sun. Through those windows, Hera could see furniture, equipment, and the remnants of daily life. An office with chairs pushed away from desks, as if everyone had stood up at the same moment and walked away. A restaurant with tables still set, preserved by the building's environmental systems. This doesn't look like an evacuation, Hara observed. Everything is too neat, too organized. From his station nearby, historian Vexel leaned forward, studying the images with ancient eyes. He had spent 300 years studying dead civilizations. He had seen cities destroyed by war, by plague, by environmental collapse. This was something new. Guide the drone to that structure, Vexel said, pointing to a large building with columns at its entrance. That appears to be a cultural institution. A museum, perhaps, Hera complied. The drone passed through the museum's main entrance, its scanners compensating for the dim interior light. Inside, exhibits stretched in every direction. Art, artifacts, and interactive displays stood waiting for visitors who would never come. The environmental systems are still running, Thren noted from his analysis station. Temperature and humidity controlled. Emergency power cells that could last for centuries. Vexel stood and walked to the main viewing screen. They knew they were leaving. Look at how everything is preserved. This wasn't sudden destruction. This was intentional maintenance. The drone moved through the museum, its cameras recording everything. Paintings on walls, sculptures on pedestals, display cases filled with objects from humanity's past. Stone tools, ancient weapons, primitive computers. Each exhibit showed another step in their rapid climb from the caves to the stars. Stop there, Vexel commanded. The drone paused before a large display. It showed a timeline of human development marked in their years. From the first stone tools to written language, thousands of years. From written language to industrial revolution, thousands more. From industrial revolution to spaceflight, mere centuries. From spaceflight to fusion power, decades. Impossible, Vexel whispered. No species moves this quickly, but the evidence surrounded them. Hara guided the drone outside and through the city streets. They found schools with teaching materials still on the desks, homes with beds still made, transportation hubs with vehicles waiting at charging stations. Their batteries long depleted, but their frames perfect. A second drone, piloted by another crew member, explored a different city on the other side of the planet. The reports were identical. A third drone investigated a smaller settlement near a mountain range. Same results. Everywhere the drones went, they found the same scene. A civilization frozen in time, as if someone had taken a photograph and then removed all the people. I've accessed their digital networks, Thren announced. Their data storage is remarkable. Redundant systems, error correction, designed to last for geological timescales. They wanted this information to survive. Can you access it? Velmoth asked. Already am. Commander, they left messages. Millions of them. Video logs, text documents, entire libraries of information. It's like they knew someone would come looking. Vexel moved to Thren's station. Show me. The screen filled with human faces. Men and women speaking in dozens of languages, their voices preserved perfectly. The translation algorithms worked quickly, converting their words into something the veiled ones could understand. We call ourselves human, one woman said in a video log. She had dark hair and wore simple clothing. Behind her, a city sparkled under a night sky. We know you'll come eventually. Someone will. We wanted you to understand what happened here. Why the cities are empty. Why we're gone. The video paused. Vexel gestured for it to continue. We were restless, the woman continued. Always moving, always searching, always wanting more. It made us dangerous when we were young. We fought wars. We damaged our world. We nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times. But that same restlessness pushed us forward. We couldn't stay still. We couldn't accept limits. More videos played. A man standing on the moon, explaining humanity's first steps into space. An elderly woman describing the cure for aging, tears running down her face. A young person showing off technology that could convert matter directly into energy. They achieved post-scarcity, Thren said with wonder in his voice. No hunger, no disease, no death from old age. They had everything they could want. But it wasn't enough, Vexel said quietly. He understood now. They were still restless. Hera's drone discovered something new. A large building near the city's center, its walls covered with names. Billions of names carved in stone and metal. The camera panned across them slowly. It's a memorial, Hera said, but not for the dead. Look at the inscription at the entrance. Thren read it aloud. Here are recorded the names of all who departed Earth on the great journey. May those who find this place know that we did not die. We chose to become something new. The bridge of the eternal witness fell silent. Every crew member felt the weight of those words. Vexel accessed more records. He found launch manifests, technical specifications, and farewell messages. The pieces began to fit together. Humanity had built massive facilities across their planet. They had developed technology to convert biological consciousness into digital information. And then, over the course of several years, they had uploaded themselves. They left their bodies behind, Vexel explained to the gathered crew. All of them. Billions of human minds transferred into machine substrates. Then they launched themselves into space inside self-replicating probes. Von Neumann machines heading out in every direction at near light speed. Why? Kesh asked. They had paradise here. Why leave? Another video provided the answer. An old man with gray hair stood in what looked like a garden. Because we are human, he said simply. We were born to wander. Staying here, even in paradise, would have killed something essential in us. We needed to see what was beyond the next hill. And the next. And the next. So we became something that could wander forever. Velmoth stared at the empty cities on his screen. A whole species, gone not into death but into transformation. They had solved the ultimate problem of biological existence and then abandoned it completely, driven by a restlessness that wouldn't let them stay still. Earth is a monument, Vexel said. They left it as a message, a record of what they were and what they became. Then where are they now? Velmoth asked, though he already suspected the answer. Vexel called up a star map showing the surrounding region of space. If they left even 50,000 years ago, traveling at near light speed, they could have reached thousands of star systems by now. The implications settled over the crew like a heavy blanket. Somewhere out there, billions of human minds were spreading across the galaxy, not as invaders, not as conquerors, but as explorers who had transcended the very concept of death to satisfy their endless curiosity. Velmoth looked at the planet below one last time, the empty cradle of a species that couldn't stay still. The massive ship called Eternal Witness dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of a yellow star system. Commander Velmoth stood on the bridge, his three eyes focused on the viewing screen. He had made this journey many times before, visiting worlds that his people had catalogued centuries or millennia ago. This particular world held no special significance to him. It was just another routine check. Thren, pull up the original survey data, Velmoth said to his science officer. The young officer's fingers danced across the holographic controls. Ancient data filled the screens around them. Images of a blue and green world appeared, along with notes written 500,000 years ago by explorers long dead. Class 7 primitive world, Thren read aloud, inhabited by tool-using mammals. Bipedal, show early signs of social organization and basic stone tool construction. Potential for future development, moderate. Recommendation, catalog and return in 500,000 cycles. Velmoth nodded. Standard procedure. The Veiled Ones had been doing this for millions of years, watching younger species grow and develop across the galaxy. Most worlds showed predictable progress. Some species went extinct. Others developed slowly into Bronze Age or Iron Age civilizations. A few, very few, managed to reach for the stars. Begin standard approach, Velmoth ordered. Kesh, take us into the outer system. Slow and careful. Navigation Officer Kesh worked her controls with practiced ease. The Eternal Witness was a ship designed for patience, not speed. It moved through space like a careful scholar through a library. As they crossed into the system, proximity alarms began to sound. Commander, Kesh said, her voice uncertain, I'm detecting artificial objects in orbit around the fourth planet. Velmoth's posture stiffened. Artificial? Are you certain? Running verification now, Thren said, his excitement barely contained. Commander, I'm reading satellites. Hundreds of them, and structures in orbit, large ones. The bridge fell silent. Every member of the crew understood what this meant. Someone had colonized this world, but who? The Veiled Ones kept careful records of all spacefaring species in this region of the galaxy. No one should be here. Could it be the Krell Empire? Asked Kesh. They've been expanding their territory. Too far from their borders, Velmoth replied. And their technology signature is different. Thren, can you identify the species responsible? The science officer worked frantically at his station. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then Thren's face showed an expression that Velmoth had never seen before. Pure disbelief. Commander, the genetic markers from the orbital structures match the database. Which species? The primitives, sir. The ones from the original survey. Velmoth moved quickly to Thren's station. That's impossible. Show me. The data appeared before them both. DNA traces collected from the orbital stations matched the genetic profile of the Stone Age creatures, catalogued 500,000 years ago. The margin of error was negligible. Run the analysis again, Velmoth commanded. Thren did. The results remained the same. How? Kesh whispered from her station. How could they advance this far, this fast? Velmoth stared at the blue world growing larger on their screens. His people had taken 4 million years to reach space from their first use of tools. 4 million years of slow, steady progress. Even the fastest developing species in known records had needed at least 800,000 years. Pull up the timeline, Velmoth said quietly. Thren brought up the historical data. The original survey had catalogued the primitives at approximately 500,000 years ago. In cosmic terms, that was yesterday. A blink. Less than a single breath of galactic time. They couldn't have, Thren said, mostly to himself. No species develops this quickly. It violates every model we have. The data doesn't lie, Velmoth replied. Bring us closer. I want detailed scans of everything. Every satellite, every structure, every electromagnetic emission. The eternal witness moved deeper into the system. As it did, more and more evidence revealed itself. The fourth planet was wrapped in a web of technology, communication satellites, power stations, research facilities, even what looked like the beginnings of orbital habitats. I'm detecting launch facilities on the surface, Kesh reported. Multiple sites. And Commander, there's something else. A structure extending from the planet's equator into orbit. A space elevator. Thren breathed. They built a space elevator. Velmoth felt something cold settle in his chest. Space elevators required material science, engineering knowledge, and industrial capacity that spoke of a mature spacefaring civilization. These creatures had gone from chipping rocks to building megastructures in the time it took Velmoth's people to develop agricultural rotation. Scan the surface, he ordered. I want to know everything about these creatures. Population centers, industrial sites, radiation signatures, everything. The ship's powerful sensors turned their attention to the planet below. Data began flowing in. Thren's eyes grew wider with each passing moment. Commander, I'm reading massive cities. Infrastructure everywhere. Energy signatures that match fusion technology. Computational networks spanning the entire planet. And sir, they've terraformed portions of their moon. There are sealed habitats there. How many of them are there? Velmoth asked. Thren worked his controls. Then he stopped. His hands froze above the holographic interface. Thren? Sir, I'm not reading any life signs. The bridge went silent again. That can't be right, Kesh said. With this level of development, there should be billions of them. Run a deep scan, Velmoth ordered. Biosignatures, heat signatures, anything that indicates living beings. The ship's sensors pushed deeper, examining the planet in every spectrum of light and energy. Minutes became hours. The crew waited, but the answer remained the same. Nothing. Thren finally said. The cities are there. The technology is there. Everything is functioning. But there are no people. No animals larger than insects. The planet is empty. Velmoth stared at the blue world on his screen. A beautiful planet, wrapped in the achievements of a species that had risen faster than any known to galactic science. But the builders were gone. Prepare the reconnaissance drones, Velmoth said quietly. We're going down there. I need to understand what happened to them. As the crew moved to carry out his orders, Velmoth couldn't shake a growing feeling of dread. In all his years of service, visiting hundreds of worlds in various states of development, he had never encountered anything like this. Species destroyed themselves sometimes. That was tragically common. But this felt different. The cities waited below, silent and perfect. And somewhere in that silence, Velmoth knew, was an answer that would haunt him for the rest of his life.